My brother opened my laptop during family dinner and announced, "Derek makes $340,000 a year and never helps the family." Everyone stared at me. Dad said, "You've been holding out on us." I closed the laptop, smiled, and said, "You're right." The next morning, I stopped the auto payments on Mom's car lease, Dad's medical bills, and my sister's mortgage. By noon, I never thought I'd be the guy posting one of these stories. I'm usually the one reading them at 2 a.m. between shifts thinking, some families are wild. Then my family decided to prove they could compete for first place. My name is Derek Jacobson. I'm an FBI agent, which mostly means I'm always tired and always on. I'm the one who answers unknown numbers, the one who misses birthdays because a case doesn't care what day it is, the one in the family everyone calls when something breaks, someone panics, or a bill shows up they don't want to deal with. A few quick facts about me so you get the picture. I drink black coffee like it's a personality trait, I chew nicotine gum like it's my job, and I have this stupid superstition where I tap my badge case 3 times before I leave the house. Not for luck, just because my brain decided the universe will punish me if I don't. My daily routine is boring. Shower, suit, gun belt, keys in the exact same bowl, phone charged, wallet, the same playlist on low. I check the front door lock twice, then once more because the first 2 didn't feel right. I'm not proud of it. And I've been the family's responsible one for so long that I didn't even notice how deep it went until the night my brother grabbed my laptop in front of everyone. It was a Sunday dinner at my parents' house, the kind where the food is fine, the vibes are not, and someone always says something that ruins the whole night. I showed up straight from the office. Not dramatic, just exhausted. I still had my tie on, my holster dug into my side. I brought store-bought pie because I didn't have time to pretend I'd baked something. Mom saw me first and did that fake bright voice she uses when she's about to ask for a favor. "Derek, finally. You look thin. Are you even eating?" "I'm eating," I said. Mostly gas station stuff. Dad was already at the table watching the game on mute like it was a religion. He gave me a little nod. That was his version of affection. My sister Amber was there too, scrolling on her phone, half listening. Her husband wasn't, because she didn't have one anymore. That matters later. And then there was my brother, Tyler. Tyler is the kind of guy who thinks being loud counts as being right. He's also the kind of guy who touches your stuff without asking, then acts offended when you don't think it's cute. Dinner started normalish. Mom complained about her car. Amber complained about her mortgage. Dad complained about his insurance like the insurance personally hates him. Tyler waited until we were all seated to start the show. "So," he said, leaning back like he was hosting a podcast, "Derek still too important to answer texts?" I stared at my plate. "I'm working, Tyler." "You're always working," he smirked. "Or you're always saying you're working." Mom jumped in immediately. "Now, Tyler, your brother has a very stressful job. Be nice." Dad didn't look up. "Work is work." Tyler tapped his fork against his glass like he wanted attention. Yeah, FBI hero stuff. Cool. Must pay pretty good." I felt my shoulders tighten. I'd learned the hard way that when Tyler starts talking about money, it's never because he's proud of me. "Tyler," Mom said, "don't start." He grinned at her. "I'm not starting. I'm just curious." I took a slow breath. Can we not do this? That should have been the moment I packed up and left. But I didn't, because I'm trained to stay calm, because I'm trained to de-escalate, because I'm trained to sit in discomfort and keep my face neutral. And that's exactly what Tyler counted on. Halfway through dinner, my phone buzzed. Work email. Something time-sensitive. I didn't want to deal with it, but I also didn't want to be up all night. So I did what I always do. I opened my laptop at the end of the table, just enough to knock out a quick response. Amber glanced at it. "You brought your laptop to dinner?" I didn't even look up. "It's 5 minutes." Tyler's eyes lit up like a kid spotting a cookie jar. "Oh, we got secrets?" he said. "Tyler," I warned. But Tyler doesn't do warnings. Tyler does whatever he wants and calls it a joke. He stood up, walked behind me, and before I could even process it, he yanked the laptop toward him. "Dude, don't." I reached for it. He lifted it higher, laughing. "Relax, I'm not hacking the FBI." "Tyler, give it back." Mom did that weak little half laugh. "Tyler, stop, you're acting like a child." He didn't stop. He clicked around like he owned the thing, and then his face changed. Not confused, not curious, greedy. He turned the screen toward himself and started reading out loud. "Holy," he said, then raised his voice. "Everyone, look at this." I stood up fast enough my chair scraped the floor. "Tyler, stop." But he was already performing. He pointed at the screen like he'd discovered a crime. "Jake makes $340,000 a year and never helps the family." The table went dead quiet. My stomach dropped in a slow, ugly way because I knew exactly what he was looking at. Not my FBI salary, not a pay stub, a private spreadsheet I kept for myself, labeled under my middle name because I'm paranoid and I don't like my full name on documents if I can help it. Tyler didn't know any of that. He just saw a big number and smelled blood. Amber's head snapped up. "What?" Mom blinked hard. "Tyler, what are you talking about?" He jabbed the screen again. "It's right here. Jake, total $340,000. He's been sitting on that while Mom's stressing about her car and Dad's bills and Amber's mortgage." Then Dad finally looked up from the TV. He stared at me like I'd slapped him. "You've been holding out on us."
Not, "Is that true?" Not, "What's going on?" Just, "You've been holding out." Everyone stared at me like I was the villain in a movie who just got unmasked. I looked at Tyler's smug face. I looked at Mom's suddenly watery eyes. I looked at Dad's tight jaw. I looked at Amber's open mouth like she'd been personally betrayed. And something in me went very still. I stepped forward, closed the laptop gently, and took it from Tyler's hands like I was disarming a weapon. Then I smiled. Not a happy smile, not a friendly smile. The kind of smile you give when you finally understand what game you're in. "You're right," I said. Tyler's grin widened. "Finally." I nodded once, and I added, quiet enough that only they could hear, "You're all absolutely right." Here's the part that makes me sound stupid. I wasn't holding out. I was holding everything up. I grew up in a family where love came with invoices. Dad, Frank, is the kind of man who thinks feelings are weakness. He didn't hug. He didn't apologize. He didn't ask how you were doing. He asked if you were handling your responsibilities. Mom, Linda, is softer, but also sharper. She cries when she loses control. She guilt trips like it's breathing. She doesn't demand money directly. She just tells you a sad story until you offer. Amber is my older sister by 2 years. She's not evil. She's just used to being rescued. She married a guy who made promises, bought a house they couldn't afford, and then left her holding the bag. When she calls me crying, she sounds like a kid again, and I fall for it. Tyler is the youngest. Tyler is chaos. Tyler never learned no because Mom always turned his failures into someone else's fault. Tyler crashed his first car. The mechanic scammed him. Tyler lost his job. They were jealous of his potential. Tyler missed rent. Landlords are unforgiving. And me? I was the one who learned early that nobody was coming to save me. I put myself through school. I worked my way into federal law enforcement. I moved out, kept my head down, and built a life that was structured because I needed structure. And at some point, without ever saying it out loud, I became the family's backup plan. It started small. My first year in, Mom called me crying because her car made a noise. I didn't have time to drive over, so I said, "Take it to a shop, I'll cover it." It was $430. Then Dad had a health scare, not life-threatening, but expensive enough to scare him. He called me late at night, voice lower than usual. "I hate asking," he said. That was new. That got me. So I paid the first bill, then another. Then it became normal. Amber's mortgage started slipping after her divorce. She didn't call me at first. She called Mom, and Mom called me. "Your sister is trying so hard. She's doing everything right, but the mortgage company doesn't care." I remember staring at my apartment wall, jaw clenched. "How much?" I asked. Mom gave me the number immediately, like she'd been waiting. So I covered it for a month, then the next month, then it became autopay. And this is the real problem. I didn't tell anyone. Not because I was hiding money, because if you tell people you're helping, they stop saying thank you and start saying, "So you can do more." I also didn't tell Tyler anything because Tyler turns information into leverage. At first, I was careful. I'd pay one time, a bill here, a repair there. But my job is relentless. I don't get the luxury of spending 3 hours on the phone with billing departments. So I set things up the way I set everything else in my life: efficient, controlled, quiet. Mom's car, lease payment on autopay. Dad's medical stuff, monthly payment plan on autopay. Amber's mortgage, autopay. I didn't do it because I'm rich. I did it because I'm tired. And because every time I tried to pull back, the family pressure came down like a boot. Mom, I don't know what we're going to do. Dad, family helps family. Amber, I hate asking you, Derek, but I don't have anyone else. Tyler didn't ask. Tyler mocked. He'd show up to dinner with a new phone on a payment plan and laugh at me for driving an old man car. He once said, in front of my parents, "Must be nice being the FBI. You probably get free stuff." I said, "We don't."
He laughed. Sure. And here's where the laptop thing matters. The $340K number wasn't my salary. My actual paycheck is normal government pay plus overtime. Comfortable, not insane. But I also had investment income and a couple smart moves I made years ago that paid off. Nothing illegal, nothing flashy, just boring, disciplined stuff. The reason the number was high was because I was doing what I always do, stacking stability. I didn't buy a fancy house. I didn't buy a sports car. I paid for my family's life while they acted like I was selfish for being busy. And the entire time, the narrative in the family was that I didn't help, because I didn't make a show of it, because I didn't announce it, because I didn't let Mom post about it on Facebook. So when Tyler opened my laptop and screamed that number, it wasn't just a gotcha. It was like he'd finally found a reason to call me the bad guy out loud. And my parents didn't defend me. They didn't ask what I'd already been paying. They didn't wonder why the bills somehow stayed handled. They saw a big number and immediately decided I owed them more. Dad's exact words, "You've been holding out on us," kept echoing in my head long after I left their house that night. I drove home in silence. No music, no podcast. Just me gripping the steering wheel, jaw tight, thinking, I've been paying their bills for years, and the moment they think I have more, they call it betrayal? That was when I realized the problem wasn't money. The problem was that in their minds, I wasn't a son or a brother. I was a resource, and resources don't get boundaries. I slept like garbage, not because I felt guilty, because I kept replaying the dinner scene in my head, frame by frame, like body cam footage. Tyler's voice, "Jake makes $340K. Dad, you've been holding out." Mom's face switching from nice hostess to victim who deserves compensation. Amber staring at me like I'd robbed her. And me standing there, the professional calm guy, smiling like an idiot and saying, "You're right." At 5:12 a.m., I got up, made coffee, and opened my laptop again. I didn't do it dramatically. I didn't slam things around. I just sat there in my kitchen, barefoot, with my phone in one hand and my bank app open like it was a checklist. I tapped my badge case 3 times out of habit. Then I stopped. I looked at my own reflection in the black screen of the microwave and thought, if I keep paying, this never ends. So I did the thing I'd been avoiding for years. I went to auto payments. Mom's lease, off. Dad's medical plan, off. Amber's mortgage transfer, off. Each one asked, "Are you sure?" I didn't hesitate. I hit confirm, and I waited, because I knew exactly what would happen next. By 7:03 a.m., my phone started buzzing. Mom first, then Dad, then Amber, then Tyler, which made me actually laugh out loud. I didn't answer. I was brushing my teeth, staring at myself, trying to figure out what emotion I was supposed to feel. Anger? Sure. Relief? Definitely. But mostly, I felt clean, like I'd finally set down a bag I'd been carrying so long I forgot it was there. At 7:26, the family group chat lit up. Mom, "Derek, call me now." Amber, "What did you do?" Dad, "Answer your phone." Tyler, "LOL bro, think he's slick." Mom, "This isn't funny. My payment didn't go through." Amber, "My mortgage is showing failed payment. Derek, please." Dad, "Don't do this to your mother." I stared at the chat. I could have typed a paragraph. I could have explained every payment I'd made, every time I'd stepped in, every sacrifice. But I've learned something about people like my family. Explanations are just fuel. So I typed one sentence. Me, we'll talk tonight, in person, all of you. Mom replied instantly. "No, fix it now." Dad, "You embarrassed us yesterday, and now you're punishing us? Real mature." Tyler, "Agent Jake out here running sting operations on his own mom." I ignored Tyler. Amber sent a separate message, privately. "Derek, please, if they report this late, I'm in trouble. I'm already behind. I can't lose the house." I stared at her message for a long time, because that one hit the soft spot, the part of me that still wants to save her. Then I remembered her face at dinner, the way she stared at me like I was hoarding money away from her. And I typed back, "I'm not your autopay anymore. Bring your paperwork tonight. We're going to talk like adults." At 6 p.m., I showed up at my parents' house. Not in a suit, no badge on display, just jeans, a plain jacket, and my laptop in my bag. Tyler opened the door like he'd been waiting for a camera crew. "Oh, look," he said loudly, "the family's safety net arrived." I walked past him without a word. Mom was already crying at the kitchen table. Not quiet crying, the dramatic kind where she wipes invisible tears and watches if you react. Dad stood by the counter, arms crossed, face hard. Amber sat hunched over her phone, bouncing her knee. Tyler grabbed a soda and leaned on the doorway like he was here for entertainment. Mom sniffed. "How could you do this to me?" Dad said, "After everything we've done for you." Tyler laughed. "Yeah, Agent Jake, you make $340 and you can't help your own mom? Cold." I set my laptop on the table and opened it. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't swear. I just looked at them and said, "You want to talk about help? Great. Let's talk about help." Dad scoffed. "Don't get smart." "I'm not getting smart," I said. "I'm getting specific." I clicked a folder, then another. A spreadsheet opened. Tyler leaned forward. "Oh, here we go." I turned the screen so they could see. "This is every payment I've made for this family for the last 3 years," I said. "I have more. I just picked 3 years because I didn't feel like ruining my whole night." Mom blinked. "What is that?" "It's receipts," I said. "Bank confirmations, email confirmations, account numbers, dates." Amber leaned in first. Her face changed as she read. "Wait, that's my mortgage?" "Yes," I said. "Every month." Dad's jaw tightened. "That doesn't mean—" "It does," I cut in, still calm, "because last night you all sat there and acted like I never help." Mom's crying stalled for half a second. Tyler frowned. "This is fake." I looked at him and said, "It's directly from my bank, but sure, tell yourself whatever." I clicked to the next tab. Mom's car lease. She stared like she was seeing it for the first time. That's been you?" "Yes." Her mouth opened, closed. Dad leaned in, eyes narrowing. Then I clicked to Dad's medical payments. Dad went still. The room went quiet in that heavy way where everyone realizes they've been loud for no reason. Tyler tried to fill the silence. "Well, okay, so you paid some stuff," he said, voice thinner now. "That doesn't mean you get to just— You mean paid some stuff, like your mom's car, your dad's medical bills, and your sister's mortgage?" I said. Tyler shrugged, trying to recover. "Family helps family." I nodded once. "Exactly." Then I said the line that changed everything. "I'm done being the family's autopay." Mom's eyes went wide again. "Derek!" "No," I said. "Listen to me. All of you." Dad started. "You can't—" "I can," I said. And I did. Amber's voice cracked. "So what am I supposed to do?" I looked at her and my chest tightened because I did love my sister, but I said it anyway. "You're supposed to pay your own bills." Mom's breath hitched. "But we're your family."
I stared at her for a long second. Then I said, evenly, "Family doesn't call you a liar at dinner. Family doesn't accuse you of holding out while you're quietly keeping them afloat." Dad's voice got sharper. "You're punishing your mother over one misunderstanding." I shook my head. "This wasn't one misunderstanding. This was the truth coming out. And you showed me exactly how you see me." Tyler scoffed. "Bro, don't act like a victim." I turned to him. "Tyler," I said, "you grabbed my laptop like a toddler and announced my finances like you were exposing a criminal. You wanted a mob. You got one. Now you're upset the mob doesn't get paid." He opened his mouth. I cut him off. "Here's how it's going to work from now on," I said. "No more autopay, no more automatic rescue. If there's a true emergency, you can ask, once, respectfully, with details." Mom whispered, "So you're controlling us?" I almost laughed. "No," I said, "I'm controlling me." And that's when Dad did the thing I expected. He went for the throat. "You think you're so big because you're FBI, but you're nothing without this family." My hands went cold, but my voice stayed steady. "I'm not nothing," I said.
I'm just not your wallet anymore. The fallout was fast. Cartoon fast. By morning, Mom was calling from the dealership. "They're saying my lease is delinquent," she cried. "They're treating me like some irresponsible." I was in my car, already late. "Mom, the lease is in your name," I said. She sucked in a breath. "So you're really doing this?" "Yes," I said. "I'm really doing this." Dad called next. "The hospital billing office called," he said. "The payment plan is broken." "Then set up a new one," I said, changing lanes. "With what money?" he snapped. Here's the ugly part. They weren't broke. They were spend everything and assume Derek catches it broke. Dad still had retirement. Mom still shopped online. Tyler bounced between opportunities. Amber had a job and a mortgage based on her ex's income. They weren't helpless. They were just used to me as the safety net. By noon, Amber sent a screenshot of her mortgage portal with a big red "Past Due" banner. Amber: "Please, I'm panicking." Amber: "I can't lose the house." Amber: "I'll pay you back, I swear." I didn't feel smug. I felt sad. I'd trained them to think my no was fake. I texted back. Me: "I'm not paying it today." Me: "Call your bank, ask about a hardship plan." Me: "Cut expenses, get a roommate. That's what adults do." She replied: "Wow, so you don't care if I'm homeless?" Me: "I care, but caring isn't the same as funding your life forever." Then the extended family jumped in. My aunt called to check in and opened with, "Your mother is so upset. You know she's sensitive." I know. That's why she uses tears as currency. My cousin texted, "Heard you cut off your parents. That's cold." Tyler posted a vague Facebook status about people who forget where they came from. I ignored all of it. Then Tyler showed up at my building. "Come down. Let's talk like men." I said, "No." "Scared?" he pushed. "I'm busy." "You really think you can just walk away? Mom's crying, Dad's pissed, Amber's freaking out. You're gonna be the bad guy forever." He wasn't wrong about that part. So I asked, "Tyler, when was the last time you paid for anything for them?" Silence. "That's not my job," he snapped. "Exactly," I said, and hung up. That week, Mom tried every angle. Anger, guilt, and sweetness. On voicemail: "Derek, we miss you. We don't want money. We just want our family back." If that were true, they'd have apologized for the dinner, asked what I'd been doing for them, shown shame. Instead, they acted like I robbed them. A few days later, Dad called with a calmer tone. "Okay," he said, "what do you want?" I respected that more than the crying. I want respect and boundaries.
"Spell it out," he said. "No more automatic payments," I told him. "If you need help, it's case by case, paid straight to the biller. Nobody touches my stuff again. Nobody talks about my money again. Ever." "So we have to beg," he said bitterly. "You watched me get ambushed at dinner," I said. "Consider this the consequence." Amber took the longest. 2 weeks later, she texted, "Amber, I got a roommate." Amber: "I hate it, but I did it." Amber: "Also, I'm sorry about dinner. I was shocked and I jumped on you. That wasn't fair." First real apology from anyone. Me: "Thank you." Me: "I'm proud of you." Tyler never apologized. He just got quieter. And the quieter he got, the louder my peace got. I started sleeping, eating real meals, running again. I stopped flinching at every buzz of my phone because it wasn't my family's emergency anymore. It was just my life. Derek's story hits hard because Tyler didn't just invade his privacy. He used it against him at dinner, like he'd caught Derek doing something wrong, while Derek was literally auto-paying their entire lives. What really happened? This wasn't accidental exposure. Tyler deliberately opened a closed laptop, searched through private files, and announced $340K like he'd discovered a secret, while Derek had been quietly funding Mom's car lease, Dad's medical bills, and Amber's mortgage for years. The second they saw that number, they didn't say, "Thank you for all you've done." They said, "Why weren't you doing more?" That's the trap. When you help silently, people assume you're not helping at all. When they discover you could help more, they reframe your generosity as withholding. Dad's line, "You've been holding out on us," shows everything wrong with this dynamic. Derek wasn't holding out, he was holding everything up. And the moment they thought he had more, they called it betrayal, instead of asking what he'd already given. The real lesson: if you're the responsible one in a challenging family situation, they don't see your support as love, they see it as expected, and expectations keep growing. Derek's aunt said it perfectly. "You were never their son,
You were their backup plan. That's not family. That's being treated as a resource with holiday dinners attached. The detail that stands out: Derek set everything to autopay, not because he was wealthy, but because he was tired. Tired of the pressure, tired of the calls, tired of being treated like the problem for being too busy while literally funding their stability. And they never even noticed until he stopped. When someone goes through your private information to publicly call you out for not giving them more while you've been quietly paying their bills for years, what's the right response? And how many auto payments do you fund before helping family becomes enabling patterns that don't serve anyone? Share your thoughts, because family helps family should go both ways, not just one person giving while everyone else expects more.